All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining us on another Sunday evening. So, Michael, will you go ahead and kick us off with the prayer and pledge tonight?
Yes. So for the season of Lent, I will be doing the Suscipe, which is a prayer of just like trusting in God. So if everybody would like to center themselves, and then we'll get started in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Take, Lord, and receive all my liberty, my memory, my understanding, and my entire will, all I have and call my own. You have given all to me. To you, Lord, I return it. Everything is yours. Do with it what you will. Give me only your love and your grace. That is enough for me. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. And then the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thanks, Michael. And Michael, do we have any special requests, presentations tonight, or funding presentations?
We do not.
Okay. Thank you. So, in lieu of a speaker tonight, Annie and I have been asked to lead a discussion on Senate floor, just kind of like an open conversational thing about the upcoming St. Patty's Day. So, Annie, do you want to go ahead and lead us in that?
Yeah, so this is going to be very casual, but we're just going to take this time to brainstorm some ideas on ways we can promote students to be safe on St. Patrick's Day so we can bring those ideas back to the administration. So if anybody wants to start, just unmute yourself.
I think maybe a good idea would be doing something similar to, I think, what we did. I forget when it was exactly, but it was like the little video series that we did. I think people really liked that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Do any senior senators have any ideas? Because I'd be interested to hear your perspective being a senior.
I definitely think we're just in a tough spot. I know, like, especially because we're supposed to be like the liaison between faculty, staff, students. I can't say I would have like a good answer right now. I don't know, honestly. It's just such a tricky spot, especially with COVID. It makes it a little bit different. Hopefully, people will already be being safer, and I feel like there's a chance that St. Patrick's Day might not live up to the hype it has in the past, if you will. So I don't know. I just think it's a big toss up. That's at least my perspective. I don't know if Tommy or Troutwine are here.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Sorry, Tommy, was that you? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Trop.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with Kelly there. I don't know. I I think that a lot of students are just gonna probably and hopefully just like spend the day in class and stuff because it is a class day. And I heard, I don't really know for sure. I just heard unconfirmed things that like, attendance is going to be a little more stricter that day, and people are going to be really like, or professors are going to be trying to discourage it in more serious matters on the grade and stuff like that. So I really don't know. I would agree with Kelly. I think it does seem to be a little bit of a toss up. I've both like heard things and not heard things, if you will. So I just I'm not entirely sure what it's going to look like.
I think as SGA, we could put on an event like we did, I think 2 years ago, Ryan was talking about, where we just give out food and water. I don't know if we're able to do that with COVID this year, but it's good to help keep the other students hydrated and well fed.
Plus, like, how would we, I don't know, like acknowledge what's going on? Would we acknowledge it on actual St. Patty's Day? Would we acknowledge it or talk about it as if it was like March 20th? Maybe that's what I heard was some like unofficial celebration. I know the school has accounts that follow Barstool Flyers, so it's not this big secret. But Yes, I don't know what day we should even address it or like gear it towards.
Feel like at the same time, like that's what I was kind of hearing too, Kelly, was I think it was like that Saturday, I'm not entirely sure. But the thing about it is I feel like with events like this, it ends up being a bit of a snowballing effect. Like what we do is we start to see a few people who start violating the rules, and then you see more and more people sort of just joining in on this. So I think the best way to do it is to identify like the best way to sort of handle it and take care of it is to identify like when there's a beginning to that compounding effect and try to address it and take care of it then. So, I mean, I don't know. That's just my
I
opinion.
also think it could be helpful. Oh, wait, sorry, am I talking over somebody?
No, you're fine.
Okay. Um, I also think it could be helpful too. I know maybe this is just me, but or like some of my roommates, we aren't always on the same page or completely sure of like what the updated protocol is or what the guidelines are. And if you do this, these are the consequences. Like I am all for like following the rules. Sometimes those just aren't as clear cut as maybe the administration thinks that they might be. I know it's all in good efforts, but maybe the message is missed sometimes. So even if as SGA we put out like a flyer or an email or spread the word of just the facts, you know what I mean, not taking this like crazy stance, but just like, hey guys, remember X, Y, and Z. I know maybe like Drew, you would probably have details about that. Wait, I just saw your message in the chat.
Yeah, so
That's exactly the problem. I feel like they send out a lot of these mass emails and that's what gets like lost in the crowd. So maybe if SGA on like a different type of platform said it, I don't know. That's again, I'm just one opinion, one person, but
yeah, so I, Natalie and Annie can jump in here too, but as the administration and the COVID task force moving forward, they're still kind of on the wall on what their stance will be going on. Yes, RHA is working on an email. I the only thing that I agree that we could put out a flyer or something along those lines, Kelly. I just am tempted, or in my opinion, I think we should stay away from the harsher things along those lines. And what I mean by that, in my opinion, we should stay away from, this is what's going to happen. You guys are going to get in trouble. Don't do this. Don't do that. In my opinion, I think we as students should gear our message as students. So if you're going to do this, do it. Yeah. But if you're going to do this, do 10 people to a property, make sure you have masks on. Let's do physical distancing.
Right. That's the kind of language I was thinking for just spreading the word.
Yeah. So I'm with you there. I think too, we could do just an informational flyer. I preach to them about every day and twice on Wednesdays that long emails don't get read, but a lot of times too, they have to include that information, and they can't just send out mass emails that are 3 sentences long, even though sometimes I wish that's what it was, because the longer the email, I believe the less students read it. So I think your idea of maybe just doing an informational flyer, giving students the heads up, the abbreviated version is a good idea. I think that, but I think too, we should let, in my opinion, again, and I don't know anybody else's thoughts, that we should let the administration do this is what's going to happen if you're outside during St. Patrick's Day. This is what's going to happen if you're in a gathering, because on our part, I don't want to be a part of that force saying do this, do that. I would be more along the lines of of supporting students in the ways of, because we know they're going to do it, but let's try to encourage them to do it safely. 10 people on property, make sure things are separated, wear your masks, be physically distant, don't go onto the streets, things along those lines. But again, those are just my thoughts.
The other thing about it too is like there's a lot of inconsistency, I feel like, with the COVID protocols and guidelines, because like in some areas I see messages where yes, it's perfectly fine to have like guests over if they're like under a certain number in your house and stuff like that. On an other end, I see, yeah, you can't have anybody over ever. On another end, it's so inconsistent, and the guidelines I feel like are getting broken every day, but it's just people A, don't know what the actual guidelines are, and B, they're getting confused with maybe just like other sort of messages. It's very confusing in my opinion.
I feel like it's, to your point, Trout or Jacob, it's also like tricky because people hear stuff on the news or like whatever Ohio's doing, the state's doing, is that what we're doing? Or do we have these separate guidelines as a campus community, which like, yeah, just kind of going off what you said, like it's very, very confusing. And even if people don't mean to be like rude, we'll put it that way, people don't mean to be ignorant, they just don't know.
Yeah, and like, and in addition, I know there's that one email that was sent out a while ago that, I mean, I heard a lot of my friends were very disconcerted about it because in it was like basically saying that it was against the COVID policy to go to like bars, like Timothy's and stuff like that. And I'm not even sure if that is in the protocol or not, because like it's very hard to find this information in like one coherent, succinct source.
Sure. So I will push back just a little bit there. If you go to the University of Dayton's page and go to COVID-19 info page right at the top, it's one of the 3 options. You can click find safety measures and restrictions currently in effect here. And you click that, and if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll go under the COVID-19 flight student agreement. Here is an updated portion of what the student agreement says currently, as well as all of the COVID-19 tabs to physical distancing, face coverings, so on and so forth.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest, while students like us, like in these kind of organizations, we might take the time, or I certainly would, you certainly would, to search that, but just the unfortunate reality is a majority of people would not. So I think maybe our job as peers would be to find a more effective way to get this information spread.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. And I think that's the hard part of how do you get all of this information in a short email. And to Troutwine's point, that is the statement in the COVID-19 agreement on bars and restaurants. So it's not saying I will not go to bars and restaurants. It's saying I will not go to bars and restaurants that are not following the COVID-19 protocols in place by the state of Ohio.
If I can jump, oh, sorry, who is that? You can talk. I don't know who it was.
Go ahead, Kat.
Okay, so just from like a completely like outside perspective, like obviously it's not my senior year, so it's not really that deep to me. But and Drew said we shouldn't like really be on the consequences side, but I kind of disagree with that just because like the consequences are what's going to make their actions change. Like we can tell them to do all that stuff, but if we like speak to the fact, just like short and sweet, like maybe like a slogan called like one day or one semester, and like are your actions on one day gonna change your rest of your semester? Like I think that would be a good slogan and a social media campaign that we could make like posters for and share them on our stories. And like because genuinely I think that the administration, they don't want to send us home, but if we misbehave and there's gatherings that are larger than 10 people, and a lot of them, that they will want to send us home. But I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
So maybe if we got some guidelines, like the most important ones narrowed down, or like some straightforward information, we could put together a campaign with a slogan like Kat said. And like, I mean, Bridget was saying that we could work with RHA to have that communicated. So I think like something simple, something short, and Kat said like the consequences, I think that makes it pretty clear.
I just want to jump in for a second here and say that I agree with Drew's earlier point that like an SGA fear-mongering email or social media campaign isn't going to do anything. And if anything, it's just going to erode trust in SGA and in all of us as individuals. You know, if people just see us as pawns of the administration, and, you know, a heavy police presence isn't going to really work or anything. It's only going to serve to make students angry, particularly first and second year students who haven't experienced St. Patrick's Day or anything before, and are thus even more likely to do, let's say, riskier behaviors. And if you go and shut down any kind of even small gathering, then kids are just going to leave campus, which means they're probably going to be driving, which is super problematic. They're going to be going to bars off and near campus, or they're going to be doing it in houses, which is even less safe, particularly with COVID right now. So, I mean, I think we have to just acknowledge the reality that kids will be doing behaviors that, we're not wanting them to do, but we have to be realistic and not just put our heads in the sand.
I don't think promoting guidelines that have been in place all year and working to get the information out there about like what you do now will impact the rest of our semester, because no one wants to go home. I think if we say the same thing we've been saying all year, I don't think that's sticking our head in the sand, and I think that's going to get a better reaction than you risk getting arrested. I mean, I think we can say, like, I think we said it earlier this semester, like the actions you do now will impact everyone. I think we've seen that in small numbers if you go to a bar and 10 people get it, or you've seen it in big numbers where if there's huge gatherings, it turns into a super spreader. So I think people need to, it's reality. And I don't think like saying that straight up is doing anything wrong. And at this point, what's more important, keeping people safe and keeping people whatever, or being seen as admin, which we're always going to be seen as that anyway. So
Right. That's locked in. That's not changing.
I mean, I don't think anyone's saying don't have fun and don't be safe, but I mean, at some point you got to be an adult and keep others safe.
I mean, I agree with you, Ryan. I think everyone in this room, in the Zoom room, would agree with that statement. And a lot of students are going to follow the rules and maintain social distancing and, try and do something safe. But we have to accept the fact that there are a significant part of the student population that will absolutely violate these rules. And it's just, we have to acknowledge that that's going to happen, and that, us sending messages to them isn't going to change anything.
So what do you suggest we do?
We pass out food and water, like I think it was Trout talked about earlier, some kind of an organized thing where we have, a lot set up where there is social distancing. People could be wearing masks. They could, would allow for like how we've done the concert in the past. That way you wouldn't have people consuming alcohol or anything like that, but you would still have a social gathering of people on St. Patrick's Day.
And no, go ahead, Trout. You can.
I don't think that's a good idea at all, because if we're like showing, if like we're at the end of Lowe's Street handing out water and stuff, it's like saying, oh, we're acknowledging something's going to happen on Lowe's and stuff like that. And like, so just fundamentally, I just think we shouldn't do stuff like that. And if we try to set up an area like a concert or something, like what is that going to look like? I mean, those aren't socially distanced at all. And it's just gonna like devolve into exactly what we would expect it to.
I agree to that. I think that if it just makes me nervous, and I don't think they would like. I think just because of it being a particular year, if it wasn't this year, I think, Jake, I would agree that we could do something along those lines. But I think because of the year that it is, we want to discourage any gatherings whatsoever. And I think handing out water and or food in one location would attract more students than what we would want. And so I would also stay away from that. And I think that if we even requested to do that, we most likely would be denied.
One thing that I wanted to add too is like kind of back to like Jake's point is like how like the university doesn't give us any breaks, so people don't go home. Like, yeah, people still go home, but not as many people go home, so it's literally the same thing. It's like, yeah, people are still gonna party and they're still gonna drink, but I'm sure if we do something, not as many people are gonna party and not as many people are gonna drink, so like I think like just because we're not eliminating it 100%, that doesn't mean that like we shouldn't do anything about it.
I also think that as SGA, like we're in a pretty unique position because the administration legally has to say certain things. And if we just echo those things, it's not really going to be as effective because we're able to use our position to say things that maybe could, I think I heard this earlier, be more focused on harm prevention as opposed to just repeating what admin says. So I mean, I think that's useful and like maybe something that we should focus on as a general mantra for our position during St. Patty's Day is just like, yeah, like I think a lot of what Drew was saying, you know, harm prevention as opposed to like, you can't do this, you know.
Does anyone else have anything that they want to add?
I just have an idea. I haven't even thought this through. But what if we did a big event in the parking lot and we made it like a cultural fest and we had stations all over that people could walk around to and get like, just learn something about St. Patrick's Day or Irish, whatever it is. And it could be monitored by the police, by UD administration, and you go and you have your little group of 10 or whatever, group of 5.
I feel like that's a good idea. I also think a month in advance isn't enough to pull something like that off and to do it well. Plus, obviously, the concerns of crowds and the things people are saying in the chat, maybe. Because I love that idea to like actually educate people on St. Patrick's Day and
Yeah.
the history and the meaning.
No, I think there's definitely a lot of challenges. And I was just thinking it would give people something to do other than go out and drink all day.
Right.
I think that's an idea we can definitely look into. I know we are on kind of a time crunch, so it might be a little difficult, but like Kelly said, it's only a month away. So if anyone would be interested in helping come up with like slogans for the campaign, like reach out to me and we can set up a Zoom meeting and we can try and put something together. So thanks, guys.
Can I say one more quick thing?
Yeah.
Is that allowed? Okay. So just like to summarize everything that I kind of said previously, I just think like what other people have said too is no one's going to go read the COVID guidelines. Some probably, I guarantee half the students that signed their agreement did not read a single line of it. So I think like, yes, it might look like we're like flaunting administration's like power or whatever, and like we are completely behind whatever. I don't care. I think it would be a good look for us to just like a quick little Instagram post, like a graphic that we can share on our, like if we did one of those story things, like tag a friend, say how you're going to socially distance or something like that. I just think it'd be quick and to the point. And if anyone sees it on our Instagram story, they're just going to read it really quick and know exactly what's going on. Obviously it's not going to do a lot because it's St. Patty's Day and we go to Dayton, but I think the little change that we could do with that would make a big impact.
Yeah, if anyone has any more ideas that they think of later, feel free to email me. We really appreciate it.
All right, thanks Annie, and thanks everyone for contributing to that. Those are definitely some great starting points for us to brainstorm off of. So now going into attendance, Grant, will you go ahead and get that started for us?
Yes. Bara Ali. Bara. James Brill.
Here.
Jada Brown.
Here.
Jules Carchelman.
Present.
Natalie Coppolino.
Here.
Lillian Dickman.
Here.
Michael Fields.
Here.
Sophia Garcia.
Here.
Jessica Garvin.
Present.
Mason Gordon.
Here.
Dan Hennessy.
Present.
Courtney Henthorn.
Here.
Hannah Hobie.
Here.
Jake Jagels.
In attendance.
Bridget Mooney.
Here.
Drew Moyer.
Here.
Ryan Pearson.
Here.
Annie Philbin.
Here.
Grace Perucci,
Here.
Kat Pistone,
Here.
Tommy Reese.
Here.
Luis Rogel,
Here.
Jack Santee,
Here.
Kelly Stewart,
Here.
Ben Thomas,
Here.
Jacob Troutwine,
Here.
Rachel Veneman,
Here.
and Alec Warren.
Here.
Great, thank you.
All right, thanks, Grant. Do we have any public announcements today? Okay, seeing none, do we have any public comments and concerns today? I don't see anything on the sign up sheet, but if anybody wants to go ahead and unmute themselves for it, feel free. Okay, do we have any SGA members who would like to give a report today?
I can go real quick. So we have not a couple, we have quite a few events this week. We have a mental health event, a men's mental health panel. We have an event that Luis is putting on, a Tough Talk. We also have 3 class town halls, and SGA chats are going on all week. More information about the SGA chats and the town halls are coming soon. I've been working to finalize like the specific details and stuff like that. I've seen people asking questions. That stuff's going to be answered really soon. It's just taken me a while. For the SGA chats, I do need people to sign up for slots. I did get an email from Aviate saying that if we don't have more people signed up, we cannot do them, and it's too late to submit anything again. So please, I sent it in the Slack earlier this week, and please everyone sign up for a slot. Please sign up for more than 1 slot. They're only a half hour long. So yeah, that's all I got.
Thanks, Ryan. Does anyone else want to give a quick report tonight?
I can go. Me and Jules met this last week with Megan, who's the advisor for DPE. I'm just talking about some of the progress that we're making for the anti-racism training that me and Jules trying to put together. I really felt like we made a lot of progress this last week, and just moving forward, me and Jules are really committed to this. So yeah, that was really good. And then also just kind of like Ryan mentioned, there's Tough Talk this week. You all should definitely go if you're free during that time. It's at 8 p.m. I think February 24th. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be raw, unfiltered. And I think those are the times that you really hear the things that you may not want to hear, but those are the times for the biggest progress. And yeah, thank you.
That's amazing. Thanks, Luis and Jules. Does anyone else have a report that they would like to give? All right, seeing none, I'll hop into my quick report. So obviously we did not have a speaker today for Senate. However, Annie and I are meeting with the DPE this week to discuss what we want them to focus their presentation on. So hopefully they will be coming the first week in March. And then Jada suggested that we have Dr. Lawrence Sanders come speak to Senate. And so she will be coming this coming Sunday to speak with us. Additionally, Annie and I did have our budget request meeting with administration this past week, and it did go very well. So administration is prepared to approve the full request, but in 2 separate increments, just given that we are still in the middle of a pandemic. So we will receive half of that request for the 2021-2022 school year, and then the remaining half for the 2022-2023 school year. And then this week, we do not have our anti-racism working group meeting on Tuesday because Tyler is coming to speak about elections and making those as equitable as possible. So we will be having that on Friday instead. And I'll send a message in our Slack channel for that as well, just reminding everyone. And then finally, pertaining to graduation, Tom Weckesser is meeting with a group of SGA seniors as well as other senior leaders from UD on Tuesday to discuss graduation plans. So if anyone has anything that they would like me or one of the other SGA seniors to bring up in this meeting, just feel free to reach out to any of us so we can do that. But that is all that I have. So Jagels, will you go ahead and get us into Senate floor?
Of course. Thank you, Madam President. The time is 6:31 p.m. I hereby call the Senate floor to order. With the roll, Mr. Secretary, please call a roll of voting members.
Absolutely. Bara Ali, not here tonight. James Brill,
Here.
Jada Brown,
Here.
Jules Carr-Chillman,
Present.
Morgan Cox is not here tonight. Sophia Garcia,
Here.
Jessica Garvin,
Present.
Dan Hennessy,
Present.
Hannah Hobie,
Here.
Drew Moyer,
Here.
Ryan Pearson,
Here.
Grace Perucci,
Here.
Tommy Reese,
Yeah, I'm here.
cool, thank you. Luis Rogel,
I'm here.
Jack Santee,
Here.
Kelly Stewart, Kelly,
Here.
thank you. Ben Thomas,
Here.
Jacob Troutwine,
Here.
Rachel Veneman,
Here.
and Alec Warren.
Here.
Great. I have a count of 18 voting members.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Do we have any points or motions at this time? Director Pearson,
Motion to bring Senate Resolution 2021-20 to the Senate floor.
we've got a motion to bring Senate Resolution 2021-20 to the floor. Do we have a second? Seeing a second from Senator Perucci, all those in favor of bringing Senate Resolution 2021-20 to the floor, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed, seeing majority in favor, we will go to Director Pearson. You have, Senator Moyer, you have the floor.
Thanks. So as we heard from President Compolino earlier, we will have a $2 increase in the academic year of 2021, 2022, and another $2 increment in the academic year of 2022, 2023. So roughly these two increases will help fund SGA in an estimated additional amount of around $60,000, depending on how many students we have enrolled at the university of that time. At that time. Really, I would say these additional funds will help us as an organization fund more of our student-led organizations here on campus, as well as be able to fund each of our advocacy projects better, as well as add a new fund for, I want to call it basically like an internal SGA like student crisis fund, or for students to be able to apply. That really helps tear down the barriers in between any fees that they might have trying to join any on-campus groups. And so really the organization will help us internally grow and develop as well. And I do want to thank a lot of you for helping support the resolution and the organization. As you heard from Natalie earlier, the administration was heard and recognized, and we are being granted this budget increase. So I think too, something important to say is that even through this pandemic, the administration has put priority on us as student leaders, as SGA, and I hope each of you recognize that and are thankful that Dr. Spina, Vice President Fisher, Dean Schramm, and the rest of their team is really here and supporting us, and they heard our request. You know, this is not something that has been able to be done in many years. So I think being able to come together on this is really important and something to take note of. One thing I will want to bring notice to is that Ryan has graciously added percentages next to each of the totals. This was in case we did get it split up in the increments that it did. So that we are recommending that we allot that percentage of the increase to each of those individual items until we are able to include or get all of the full budget increase. So yeah, thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Moyer. Do we have any further points or motions at this time?
Move to the previous question.
Thank you, Director Pearson. We've got a motion to the previous question. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Seeing a second from Senator Veneman. All those in favor of moving the previous question, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed. Seeing a majority in favor of moving the previous question, we will now go into voting procedure on Senate Resolution 2021-20. Please go ahead and vote. By a vote of 18-0, Senate Resolution 2021-20 is passed. Any further points or motions at this time?
Move to bring Senate Bill 2021-25 to the floor.
Thank you, Director Pearson. We have a motion to bring Senate Bill 2021-25 to the floor. Do we have a second?
A second.
Seeing a second from Senator Veneman. All those in favor of bringing Senate Bill 2021-25 to the floor, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed. We will now go into Senate Bill 2021-25. Director Pearson, I believe you have the floor.
Yep. So our elections chair, Tyler, couldn't be here tonight, so I agreed to talk about this bill a little bit. So currently, a couple of years ago, we passed a bill, or I think it was last year, we passed a bill saying that we would utilize ranked choice voting. It's a different method of casting votes. You kind of like, there's a video that she sent about it today in the Slack if you want to go look at that. But this basically extends, under the resolve clauses, it retains the use of ranked choice voting in presidential and vice presidential elections, and also expands it for all elections with 3 more candidates. And then we basically say that we're going to keep using these procedures until it's changed by future elections. Ranked choice has been proven and explained to be much more equitable. And if you want to learn more about that, watch the video that Tyler sent. But yeah, other than that, I yield my time.
Thank you, Director Pearson. Do we have any points or motions?
I move to the previous question.
Hearing a motion, the previous question from Senator Jules Carr-Chelman. Do we have a second on the motion, the previous question? Seeing a second from Director Rogel. All those in favor of moving the previous question, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed. Seeing majority in favor of moving the previous question, we will now go into voting procedure on Senate Bill 2021-25. Please go ahead and vote. By a vote of 17-1-0, Senate Bill 2021-25 is passed. Any further points or motions at this time? Director Pearson?
Move to adjourn.
Thank
Um,
you, Director Pierce. We've got a motion to adjourn.
I
Do we
object.
have a second?
I object. Are we going to be looking at Senate Bill 2021-20 this meeting?
The sponsor of that bill has decided that we will not be bringing that up. Apologies to the confusion. Anything further, Senator Carchelman?
Nope, I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator. Do we have any further points or motions? Director
Move to
Pearson?
adjourn.
We've got a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? Seeing multiple people motioning to adjourn, all those in favor of adjourning, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed? Fantastic. Senate is adjourned. Thank you all very much. Have a nice rest of your Sunday afternoon.